You in the shower too, eh?
I just got out, man. The shower thoughts are flowing.
That's what I'm saying. You know what that means, right?
Obviously, I know what it means.
It's time to shower the audience with these thoughts.
I'll meet you at the communal shower right now.
See you there, bud.
Alright, bless. Easy.
Let's go. Safi, good?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just respecting,
Right.
Oh, I knew the female in the shower jokes would happen.
just trying to respect
This is why we
Boys.
haven't had a female to this point, because
Yeah.
they knew you'd be weird.
me. How am
Just
I,
you.
how am I being weird?
Saf is doing this.
In what
It's
way?
so weird.
I'm,
It's
for the listeners, I'm covering my eyes because I respect.
Gotcha. You
Is-
can also just leave.
Oh.
How come you
The
don't?
shower.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, but can I stay? Is it okay if
Yeah, just
Yeah?
open
Okay.
your eyes.
All right.
I'm very open.
Yo, double standard.
Okay.
Why don't you
Sounds
respect
good.
my privacy when I'm in the shower?
because I've seen you naked before.
Okay, let's change the topic.
All right, so
The truth comes out.
They don't need...
sorry. What? I
Welcome
blacked out.
back to Shower Thoughts, is what we're trying to say. Erase the last 20 seconds or so from your memory.
you can edit that
forever.
out, right? Just edit that out. That's fine.
But I'm too lazy.
No,
so it's
just
going to
edit
be
it
in
out.
there.
All right,
It's
cool.
gonna
Gotta
be
keep
in
it
there.
authentic. Yeah. For the
So,
viewers.
Shower thoughts with Saf and Sharif. I'm Saf.
so that makes me Sharif.
Right. Yeah.
And
And-
I'm Emily.
Oh,
Emily.
wow.
Oh, we do have a guest.
We do have a guest.
Our first female,
First female.
non-brown,
Yes.
non-Hispanic.
Non-Hispanic, non-brown, female, Asian.
I love it.
Yeah, diversity. Today's a
Breaking through the
episode of
barriers.
diversity.
Look at that.
It took
Yeah.
us 6 episodes, but we did it.
We did it. We're here.
We did it. Progress.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So how do we both know Emily differently?
Yeah.
How do you know Emily?
I know Emily because I massaged her for a year. That came out weird, didn't it?
You said what? You did
So,
All right, take 2.
actually,
this is
I was like, how
bloopers.
can I say that as awkwardly as possible?
Yeah, and you went for it.
I went for it. I was the field therapist for the swim team.
A very
Emily
good
wasn't.
one.
Oh, stop it. Thank you.
Aw.
Wow, you see that? She almost gave me a massage.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, but Emily happens to be like, one of the captains on the swim team, actually.
Mhm.
So worked together for a year
Yeah.
through that, and that's how I met
That's cool.
Ema.
Mm-hmm.
Came close. She goes by Ema, which is why I will probably
Yeah.
say Ema.
Emily
most-
Ma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you know?
How do I
Emily?
know? I
How
also
do we know?
I also massaged Emily for a year, but
Okay.
I wasn't the athletic. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Okay.
Can you not?
Sorry, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Let's not
We-
intimidate any other females from getting in the
You know what?
shower.
You're right. No, we'll never become a female again.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. I'm done. That's my last one.
You straight up said some of your friends want to be in here.
Yeah.
But
Now
don't want.
Actually, they just texted me saying no.
No. We're not live, so.
That's true. Okay.
Psych.
I lied. I know Emily. We lifeguarded together. We started lifeguarding like
Saving lives together, nice.
Yeah.
3 years ago. Did you start 3? 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Oh, you had
ago.
to one up me and say that you knew her for longer than I did.
Of course. Yeah. We're closer than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Just-
fair.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Rude. Yeah, so I knew Emily from lifeguarding, lifeguards hang out, and then she also just happens to be friends with a lot of my friends from kinesiology. And yeah, we've been hanging out
And best buds
and
ever
best
since.
buds ever since.
I'll just be here on my own.
Lots
And
of-
Cherie.
Yeah, I've had like the life chats that me and you had. Like I had a lot of life chats with Emily too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why didn't you freaking start a podcast with her instead of me then?
I did. I
It's
actually
like-
asked her, and she's like not available. So then I asked you.
That's false.
I'm
okay,
kidding.
I'm over
I'm kidding.
it.
I'm
I'm
just
over
like
it.
making drama.
Who do you
You
think?
stirred a pot.
Who is Emily Ma?
You know what?
3 words.
That is a good question.
Who does Emily Ma think Emily Ma is?
Wow.
Who?
3 words?
3 words.
Hmm.
Is that the first one?
Yeah. I'm a mystery.
I like that.
I think I'm very independent.
Okay.
Um,
But just independent, because like you don't want to use up too many of your words yet.
Wow, the light is really making me
Yeah.
sweat here.
I can't.
You're glowing.
I might have to look away.
Oh no! I knew it.
Just kidding. Yeah, independent.
Yeah.
I would say outgoing.
Okay.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
outgoing.
I'd say so.
Although I am selectively extroverted, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I was really introverted as a kid. So, and that changed like throughout me growing as a person and like being an adult and then having to interact with people.
Having to.
You know, sometimes it's like necessary and you
Yeah.
don't really want to.
Yeah.
You just want to stay home and like,
Mm-hmm.
but then you have to be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. You grew into it.
Oh, for sure. I think everyone goes through that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing, I guess just like a swimmer. I
Wow.
feel like, I feel like
Part of her identity.
swimming is huge and it's been a part of my life for almost 15, 16 years now. And yeah, it's like a love-hate relationship. More love for sure. But you know, I think every athlete out there like can relate. Just some days you just really want to be a normal person and like go to school, go home.
Or subpar.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want to be subpar and be a non-varsity swimmer.
A
A narp. Yeah, be a narp. Yeah, non-athletic
No.
regular person for those.
But yeah,
other
it
narps.
is. Yeah. So yeah, those are 3 things I think. Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet. And I forget the story of how you said you wanted to come on this and the topic we're talking about. So today I think we're going to take it down the route of like finding your identity, preserving your identity as you go
Right.
into new environments and such.
Mm-hmm.
So like what was your reasoning for why you wanted to talk about something like this?
I think just through a lot of conversations I've had with people, both voluntarily.
Selectively, because like
Right, yeah.
selectively.
Not everyone.
Selective.
Yeah, not everyone
Yeah.
deserves that
Yeah.
attention.
But yeah, just like voluntarily and involuntarily. You know, things come up and they're always like, oh, I didn't know you like moved here when you were 15, 16.
Same.
Right? Yeah. And I was like, well, I mean, and everyone goes, oh my God, like, do you speak English? Like, did you speak English when you were back home?
No, I was faking this conversation
And I was
with
just
you,
like,
actually.
no, but it takes me, you know, it's just like I have to explain to them my background and like where I'm from. I'm from Singapore, if like you guys don't know. I think most of my friends know this by now. Moved here in 2013.
Yo, literally the same year.
Yeah, moved
nuts.
here.
We both moved to Oakville too, right? We went
Yeah,
straight to
holy,
Oakville?
oh, that's
Holy.
weird. That's weird.
This is
okay.
getting weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, and then I just kind of like went into grade 10. Didn't really have a lot of friends for like 2 years. Mostly because of me. I'm just like very I wanted to like be by myself for a bit, and like I got really close to my mom, which is great. And then yeah, I started making friends, hanging out with everyone, going to parties and stuff in grade 12. Hanging out with more people, getting to know more people, being really comfortable in my environment. And then university happened. I don't really tell most people like that I first meet that I moved, just because like I feel like there's always this stereotype around like immigrants and like
Yeah.
you know no matter where you go it's gonna happen, but obviously some people take it very positively, like, oh my God, that's amazing, like you, like that's so cool, like you're from another like country, whatever. But then some people, like, even though they say that, you can just like feel like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, your household's probably like this. Your
Yeah,
parents are probably
like-
super
Your
strict.
And-
English
about
is
this.
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally, I get that all the time. Like, oh wow, your English is so good. I'm like, yeah, well, I've been speaking it since I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't remember, but yeah, sure. Yeah, and like a lot of the times I feel like I always have to like over explain and like over just I don't know why I do this. Maybe like I don't necessarily have to, but I always try to like be like, oh, you know, but I had a lot of like friends around me who were like from international schools and like from the States, from like whatever. That's why I'm like so well adjusted. But like I really don't have to explain myself, you know? Like, yeah, like I should be proud of like who I am, but I think it took me a few years to like get to that.
And my thing is, you said when you first moved here, you didn't have that many friends, like for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
You stayed like close to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like personally, as someone who moved around the same age, like I found it hard keeping that balance between sticking to the values and culture that I was raised in when I lived in Dubai and for you in Singapore, and then coming here and then finding that balance between wanting to integrate into the community,
Yeah.
but also not just be a like piece of clay that anyone can mold. However,
For
like
sure.
maintaining your core values and some of the things you were raised by. So,
Yeah.
like, do you think that was part of your challenge when you first moved here for the 2 years, just kind of trying to find that balance? Or were you scared of like letting people affect you too much, or you were shocked by the culture here?
I wasn't like scared by any means, but I think I was just nervous because like I didn't really know how people thought of me, and like, you know, everyone tries to be nice to you,
Yeah.
but then you can tell like from people who are like just being superficial and like, hey, welcome to Canada, and like people who actually want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's getting really hot in here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's-
Like I'm really sweating. Can we? Is it gonna affect the audio if we open the door?
Just a tiny bit, but it's our health is more important than the audio. Well, not really.
Not really.
Not really. but-
Close
Take
the door.
Take a breather.
Actually,
I'm like
Let's get it
literally
warmer.
sweating.
Push through. Yeah.
let me just
I'm
fan
like-
it a little bit.
I'm getting Damposaurus Ricks.
Yeah, feeling it.
Like holy. I sweat in my face too, so you can literally just see everything. I'm
We'll
listening.
say you're crying. This
Yeah.
we'll say it's an emotional
Maybe
episode.
we
I'll get my
people
hair out.
hopefully people will just listen to the audio version and they won't see us
They won't.
dripping and stuff.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Drip splash.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I ever like really strayed away from people. I just kind of didn't go out of my way to make a lot of friends in grade 10 and 11. And I've had people approach me, like, you know, people from like the school council and like those kids who are very you know, like, oh my god, hi, new kid.
Yeah.
And like I really appreciated them because like those are the people I had lunch with the first 2 years of high school.
Yes.
And like I had a group of people in school, but there are very different friends that you make. Like you have friends who you hang out with in school, and then friends you can hang out with outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like you can talk to them, you can talk about them, like you can talk
Those
about
like shallow friendships
anything.
that get you through the
Yeah,
day. School,
exactly. And I
just
obviously
lunch.
I feel bad, but like at the same time, it's like they're just not my group of people. You know, nice kids, like doing
Good
great.
kids, bright futures.
No, doing great things, but they were just not like people that I felt comfortable with, like talking about everything, or
Yeah.
they were just almost too nice to me, and like too scared to like really like tell me how they feel and stuff, and it was just like really tiring for me, just trying to be like super positive and nice all the time.
I think it's a little bit like the intent. Like, why were they actually doing
Yeah,
that?
for
Like,
sure.
Was it because of their own student
I'm
council,
sure
or
it was great. I'm sure their
Yeah.
intentions were good. But then I eventually found my group of friends, you know, through swimming and then through school as well. In grade 12, like summer of grade 11, that's kind of like where I expanded my circle and like started doing like, you know what, maybe I should like stop hanging out with my mom too much and like start hanging out with kids my age. And so I'm, you know, met a few people through swimming, and like they were from my school as well, so like I kind of like mingled with their friends. And then it was funny because in grade 12 a lot of people came up to me and like, I never knew you existed, like where were you, like were you from the school, like,
Yeah.
you know, because they don't see me at parties, they don't see me at lunch, they're just like, who are you? And I'm like, well, Emily Ma. And then yeah, I made really good friends through that, and like was lucky enough to like, you know, have a group of like really great girls and some guy friends in my life too. And then university was just kind of like, I had one friend coming into school with me. She was my like roommate, and obviously there's like other friends too, but they were all in like different reses and stuff. And so my roommate and I just kind of like decided to, you know what, we're gonna sit with people, you know, at like welcome week, whatever, we're gonna sit with people at lunch, dinner, and like just talk to them. So then we found people from our same res and like same program, and then we just kind of like, you know, partied a little bit. A little bit.
just a
That's
small
a
amount.
tad bit.
Every night,
Yeah.
twice, 2 different parties.
Okay. But yeah, and it was just really fun. First year was so fun, and it really like kind of opened my eyes to like, you know what, I'm actually like being accepted and like I'm fine being in this like new environment.
But do you think that's like because in university everyone's new in first year kind of thing?
I think that's the reason
Yeah.
why. I think I like going into high school, I was not as comfortable because
You joined in the middle.
like so
basically.
many kids like moving from a city, the city life is kind of like you go to preschool, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. You come out, everyone disperses. You go to different like, even though Singapore is tiny, 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 I don't see anyone from preschool or like elementary school around. Never.
Yeah.
But like it was just so bizarre to me when I came to Oakville that like everyone grew up together.
Yeah.
And it was like from pre-K all the way till like grade 12. And they seen each other in diapers and like their parents knew each other when they were
Whoa.
pregnant, But yeah, it was just like this whole it was like you're not just stepping into like a friend group, it's like a community and like you're the I don't want to say intruder, but you're just like you're
outlier.
from you're the outsider.
Yeah.
You're trying to walk in and like meet everyone, but it's always hard to like enter a solid friend group.
What do you think it was, like you said, you started making like good friends that weren't those shallow like lunchtime, just at school friends? Like what was it? Because you're still someone that grew elsewhere and these people all grew up there. How do you, like, for any of the viewers that can apply this to any aspect of their life, like moving to a different city or like starting a new program, new school, like what does it take to, like, what did you find beneficial, like your way of thinking about it or approaching it in terms of making those real friends?
I think just be very open-minded. A lot of the times.
Also, shout out for the Timbits.
Oh yeah, send me one actually.
Yeah, for the champ.
Yeah, go
We
for
eating
it.
good now in the shower.
good.
Yeah, bulking season.
Yeah,
right?
bulking season for sure.
Don't get it wet.
Yeah, right.
There's only 4 kinds in there because they ran out of like a bunch of stuff.
These are the good kinds.
Hey ho.
Good job. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you. No problem. Got your backs.
Continue, please.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, no. Yeah, like I'm not gonna name like groups specifically, but how you're stepping
Oh,
on my
I'm
foot.
so sorry. Name the groups.
No!
How dare you, Emma?
This is why we can't have guests in the shower. People
Listen.
are welcoming.
You have to share everything.
Okay, I will. No, but basically, like, there are some groups of people around that are very, like, just so. What's that word?
Fake.
I actually don't know.
No, not fake. Exclusive,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Cliquey.
that's the word.
Cliquey,
Yeah,
yes.
and cliquey. And I'm speaking more of like an immigrant like perspective. Like if you want to be, immersed in like someone else's culture or whatever, then put yourself in that culture. Don't just like bring your own culture to the country. Obviously bring your own culture, but like don't just stick with your own group of people and like never branch out, because then you'll never,
Facts.
right? Like
Yes, yeah.
there are so many people around, and I think you guys know like what kind of groups I'm talking about. It's like they go together as a clique, and they like almost just like they're in a bubble and they don't expand and they don't branch out. And when someone else from like a different ethnicity or like different group talk to them, they're like all so afraid and like so closed off. And I agree, like, it is important to find comfort in like your own people, and like obviously keep your roots, like
Tradition, culture.
yeah, like, but stay who you are, but at the same time it's like if you really want to be a part of something new, then you gotta change.
That probably threw off the recording, but it's okay.
No, we're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
it's all good.
But we were talking about like some groups coming together into a new environment and staying in their own clique bubble. It could be cultures as immigrants, or it could be in like a new school, like for example, people
Yeah.
coming from the same high school. And not,
Oh, yeah.
That's why, like, this topic, like, when we like kind of mentioned it earlier, like, this topic applies to everyone. Like, not
Yeah.
you don't have to be an immigrant to relate to this topic. 'Cause
everyone
it-
changes environments.
Yeah, but it also gives you a window into someone else's life, like to
Oh,
know
for
what it's like to go through as someone who's new to an environment, and putting yourself in someone, like seeing their perspective and stuff. It can help you, because for me, when I'm like entering a new group or something, there's like if there's that one person who's like, oh hey, and like they welcome you with open arms, it makes the biggest difference.
100%.
So like I know for me like that always was really nice. So I try to be that whenever someone new is coming into a group because it's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm not talking to you. Like I'm gonna stay in my own group. So
I just feel like it's a very it's almost like a high school mentality when you close yourself off to like a lot of other people. And like I'm not saying that you have to be best friends with everyone you meet.
Some cultures do that like straight up, like from when they move to Canada, like say they move at the age
They're
we
like,
move
we're
like 15 to
brothers and
16,
staying together for
and then like just that same culture,
yeah.
like only speaking their own language when they go out together, and then like as an Egyptian I see it happen, and you're coming to a new country, you're using like resources, like you are a part of the community. Like I'm someone that always believes in like if someone or something invests in you, you invest back. Like that's just my mentality. So like there's a community that's like letting you like have the healthcare benefits, the education benefits and stuff. Like you need to give back and not just stay in your one circle. Like these people literally go on into professions and only work with people in the same culture. Like you've created a sub community inside the community. I'm just like super pro like collaboration, integration and stuff like that. So it just really doesn't sit well with me. But it's all perspective. I'm sure some of the people that are into this stuff would be listening to this and be like, yeah, but what am I doing wrong? I'm looking out for my own people. I'm still taking care. Like, yeah,
Which is totally fair.
I just don't like the idea of in-group, out-group.
I don't like that either.
Just all be in-group.
But the thing, it's like biological, right? It's like if you look at evolution, like that's how we survive. Like when you look out for your own, when you
That's
like,
genetically.
Yeah, but like you know, like altruism or whatever, or like you know, taking care of your own because that directly it benefits you.
Yeah.
So like taking care of someone who is an outsider per se, like doesn't benefit you. Like back in the day, it didn't benefit you, but now like because we are, you know, kind of walking on our 2 feet and like we understand that life is a little bit more complex than taking care of your own. Like now there's enough resources to go around. Right. Now you kind of as we've evolved, we have to kind of understand to like spread that.
Yeah.
Like inclusivity and not exclude people because we can.
My thing with it too is that Spock. Wow, English is hard.
Oh, wow.
English is hard.
Oh, well, that's another topic. Why is English hard?
On the topic of immigration, English
is hard.
But like something I've spoken about several times is my idea of like if you always stay in your group, you never gain awareness. Like the same reason why I'm super pro traveling, I'm super pro meeting new people, is every culture you learn about, every group of people, even if it's like people that move from this part of Canada to like the program you're in or whatever, is you gain awareness and perspective and get to have a new tool in your toolkit to see the world from a different, like you have a new lens to see the world from that person's perspective, and it just makes you so much more understanding and will be beneficial down the line, because no matter what you do, you're going to be interacting with humans, and it will be beneficial one day when you're dealing with someone who had a similar history. Like there's an overlap, you can kind of understand their perspective better and then be better at like whatever job you're doing, like in the relationships you have and such. So for me, it's like I'm super pro get to know as many different people as you can so that you have those extra lenses in your toolkit to be able to see the world from multiple standpoints. And like a lot of times I'll get into like arguments or discussions with people. Say discussions, I'm not one to argue usually, but about certain things, and people will be like, wow, that was very level-headed, or that your perspective was very understanding. And like it's not something I was born with, or I have a lot of work to do with it, but I really attribute it to like always seeking opportunities to learn about other people and understand why they might think the way they do, like about different religions that teach different values and different cultures that have different ways of approaching social scenarios. You don't know that until you talk to people from those different situations. But the key is like a lot of people get lost when they go down that route, in terms of they lose their own personal identity and just become a result of like all the different people that they've spoken to. It's like, but who are you?
Yeah.
like for example, in the situation that you're talking, you come in, there's a new culture, or like culture can mean like nation-based culture. It could be like geographic culture or just athletic, whatever. There's so many different things, which is why, is why I totally agree with you when you say anyone can benefit from this. But key is not to just come in as a sponge, but as a filter to just like intake stuff and then decide what you think adds to you, but doesn't take away from who you are, and replace the core values that you have.
It's strange to me how people don't understand the whole concept of like meeting new people isn't just like an action. It's also there to help you, you know, like branching out to new people and learning about who they are as a person, their values and their opinions on things help to create or change your opinions in a good way, a beneficial way, not just a bad way, you know, unless you're like involved with bad people, then maybe, but for the most part I think we're all pretty intelligent people. And took us like 20 minutes to set up.
Yeah.
They didn't have to know that.
It's debatable. We're intelligent enough to
like
survive.
Know good from bad.
To breathe.
Yeah.
To breathe.
That's it.
To breathe in and out. In the
Only
good,
because
out
it's
the bad.
automatic.
Yeah.
Only because it's automatic.
But
Well,
continue.
and good and bad is like they're both relative, right? Like you don't really, there's no definite answer to what good is and what bad is. And
Yeah.
that's
But what you're
topic,
saying
but-
of like taking that in more, like
for
it
sure.
adds to
Like it adds to you as a person, and then as you grow, you change, and that's just kind of like a given. You can't stop that from happening, and people who don't want change get stuck in this very almost unhealthy, like just box, and like they try to keep the same people around, and then their friends are growing and changing as people and then leaves them behind, and they wonder, oh my god, why I had like 4 best friends and now I have none, and you know, they're bad people for leaving me behind. But like you have to think about what you're doing wrong as a person. Like maybe you're just not branching out and they are, and you know, they're meeting new people, making new connections. And yeah, like even like, you know, making connections too. Like there are many different. I feel left out.
Where's your water?
FOMO. I have coffee, but
Stay hydrated.
but yeah, like, you know, there are different connections too. Like you can make connections as friends, connections as like romantic partners, like partners in general, or like business. You know, in business you have to like make connections, and like if you want to, you know, kind of like get your feet wet in a field, then you got to make those connections. And I just talked to one of my captains from when I was in first year. Last night I was FaceTiming him, just kind of like talking about life, and like we haven't caught up in a while, just kind of like, you know, hey, I don't want to say hi. And then I have a few questions about like this thing that I wanted to pursue, and like he just got into MBA at like Rotman, which is super cool. So I'm just kind of like, you know what, I want to hear this guy's opinion. Mm-hmm. And so we were just talking about like making connections, and he says, you know what, nowadays a resume and a cover letter through Indeed isn't enough anymore. You got to meet the person, you got to go talk to them, and like just be super thick-skinned. Like go and message people on LinkedIn and be like, hey, let's go for coffee. And like, I'm interested. People want to talk about their passion. People want to talk about what they like. And if you're able to like pick apart what they like and just talk about those things, even though maybe it's not your interest,
It makes them feel good.
it makes them feel good, and it makes you seem like an awesome person to be around. And like, I'm not trying to say like create fake relationships, but it's just like you have to understand how to like please people and make people happy in order
It's also
to
just being a listener.
Yeah, for sure. And like you just got to know how to work your way around things and
Being
try
a listener. Like the
Yeah.
listeners out there.
Keep listening. You're
keep supporting.
Keep
This is
supporting.
great. This is a one-way conversation. They don't get to talk back. You're great
It's true.
listeners.
Yeah. Well, they
In
can
the comments,
eventually.
in the
comments.
comments, there you
Yeah.
go.
So comment.
Yeah. Make it
Like
two-way.
and
And
subscribe.
Wow, we should hire her.
Yeah, I know. Holy, our PR rep.
Yeah. I'm not getting paid for this.
We give you Timbits actually if you want.
Yeah,
if you want a
the ones that
Timbit.
you
I bought these.
You can have some. I'm saying.
I had some.
Okay. All right.
They're just very high in calories. But yeah, like, so, like, what he said was just like, wow, like, you know, I guess I feel like I always had that mindset of me still being a child and me still not being old enough to talk to grown-ups and, like, you know, make relationships that will benefit my future career. But I feel like I need to get that out of my head because I'm going into 4th year and that's scary. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like, oh, you're only like 21, 22. Like, what are you worried about? I'm 28 and I don't know like what my life is like going to be. And I'm sure like there are a lot of people on the same boat of different ages and, you know, different points in your life. But like whoever you are, it is scary to not know what the future holds. And like, it could be exciting, but it's also nerve-wracking because you don't know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And it's like, if I go through this door, am I missing those other open doors for me? And like, what if I chose that instead of this? Would my life be a little bit better? Would I be, you know, earning more money? Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, and then it's just like this whole big vicious cycle thing when you like keep doubting yourself and you're just like, you know, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. And I feel like right now in my life, I just want to be confident in what I decide to pursue. And I don't want to be so scattered, like, you know, just thinking about all these possibilities and then wasting my time on thinking about those possibilities, but not actually going after one. And I think that's my main struggle right now is that I have so many different ideas. I'm like, maybe I'll go do this. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll just not do a master's. Maybe I'll do a master's, you know, just so many things and like not enough time to think about it, not enough energy to think about it.
I think.
Go ahead, man, please.
Can I? Is it okay?
Absolutely, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Just kind of going off what you were saying, like the different opportunities.
That way I get to
being
eat a Timbit.
Yeah, go ahead. No, help
I've
yourself.
had like 4 already.
Those different opportunities being there, and you're like, man, like I just want to pick one. Like I want to go down a path. I want to, you know, open this door.
Yeah.
I think like the thing that us as students or as young adults or whatever you want to call it, the thing that we're never taught is that, like, you can, because you go through one door doesn't mean that you can never go through those other doors.
Right.
And like we're always on this one track mind of like, okay, I have to pick one door, and like this is my door for life, so I have to like make sure it's the right door. And you spend all this time like trying to figure out what the right door is, when like in reality, like you can open this door if you look inside and you're like, okay, I actually don't want to go through this door. Close that door and you go to a different door. Like there's like 500
I think
doors.
our generation's getting better at that than like the earlier ones.
Yeah, but the thing is we have more doors to pick from compared to like 30 years ago.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like there's so many more doors to go through, which makes it harder if you think that you can only pick one door. But in reality, like you can spend like a year at one door and then be like, you know what, I actually didn't want this, and go to a different door, and then you're only like 1 year older. In the grand scheme of things, like to find which door is the right door for you, like that's not a big sacrifice to pick, because it's gonna be the rest of your life eventually. So might as well just like try all of the doors
And never wonder what if.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Just like don't think about what you haven't done, or you know, obviously think about how to improve yourself, yada yada yada, but like don't be so fixated on things that are not happening, and like focus on the things that are happening, and like going after it, making it better. Like, you know, if you're doing this podcast, you don't want to be like, oh, maybe I should like, you know, work on I don't know, doing a music video, and then like, oh,
Let's do a music video. Actually, drop a beat.
You know, you just want to focus on this thing, and then eventually, after making this podcast great, you can branch out to different things. More opportunities will come to you. Maybe you guys will get ads. You know, you guys could do ads on your podcast. Hey.
Honestly, we're not doing it for the money though, right?
Yeah.
No.
I'm just saying. Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd appreciate a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Pay for the gas money or whatever.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, one opportunity always leads you to another, but don't rush things, and don't compare yourself to other people's successes. And like, you know, everyone's different, and they have their own opinion of what success is. and you want to be happy with yourself and not make other people happy at the end of the day.
But you also got to be, like, I think, like, you said something that I really liked is that our generation has, like, a ton of doors. With the emergence of, like, social media blowing up, like, you could make a career out of anything. And with keeping not wanting to say what if in mind, like, not wanting to be like, oh, well, I never got to try that even though I'm into it. There's also the other side of it that there's, like, too many doors that you can't try all of them. So I think you got to be smart about the doors you pick. It's not like, oh, I've never tried this, let me try. I've never tried this, gotta try. Because there are things that if you just, like, sit down with yourself and do some internal self-exploration, you'll know what values are important to you. For example, if that's, like, interacting with humans, like, you need a job where you're, like, always interacting with people, that already cuts, like, a big X across, like, many different doors. And so on. So I think that sometimes people are just like, okay, I don't know what I gotta do. I'm gonna go this. I'm just gonna try all these different things. Those 1 years, like, if you try each one of those for 1 year, they add up. 1 year isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, like you said, but it adds up. So for me, it's, how about you invest some of those years into discovering yourself first, like sitting with yourself and, like, not fully investing into a career or whatever, just, like, spending time with yourself, having conversations like these instead of, like, listening to music on the bus, or instead of whatever, like, sit down, talk with someone. Listen to shower thoughts.
Yeah.
Shameless self-promo.
Plug.
But you know what I mean? Like, if for me, it came down to realizing that 3 core things that were important to me. I had to find a door that involved compassion, was, like, non-stagnant, always changing, involved interacting with humans, and challenging. Like, once I figured those 4, I was just like, okay, well, that just crossed an X across a bunch of stuff that, for example, research that didn't involve human participants, I was like, big X. And, like, stuff that was pretty stagnant and already reached the capacity of the field, for the most part, X. Stuff that I didn't feel directly affected caring for people, X. And that way I was like, okay, now there are less doors, so now I can try these different doors by volunteering, doing this.
Yeah.
And that way, I think that sped up the process of me being like, this is exactly what I want to do. I say that now, but down the road, I have no shame 20 years from now, having opened this door, explored it, and going like, nah, something inside me just don't feel right. There's no shame in that. And, like, I love it. Like, I always meet people at, like, the gyms I work at, or, like, friends, family friends who, person went to law school, practiced law for a few years, like, no, like, medicine just sounds super cool, I want to go into that. Or someone that, like, practiced medicine for years and I was like, I actually want to be a stand-up comedian. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean?
Like, just to go like, off of this point.
Someone take these Timbits away from me.
Alright, let me grab one more. The reason, okay, I somewhat disagree with you on that.
I like that.
Because, so what you're saying is that, like, I agree with you on some stuff, but I think you're speaking from a point of that you have figured out your values. So you unknowingly have gone through experiences that have helped shape those values. Like, you've opened doors and realized which doors you liked, and then those helped you kind of put your values together, and now you have a better idea of which doors you like. But for someone who hasn't opened many doors, they might not be fully aware of what their values are, and a great way to figure out what your values are is to start opening doors. So if you're kind of all over the place, like, I don't really know what I want, I don't really know what I value yet, I would recommend opening doors. Just because, like, knowing you, I know you've done a lot of things. Like, you've been involved in a lot of different things, and I'm sure some stuff you like, I really like this, and some stuff you like, I don't like this.
Peace.
Right, yeah.
Research.
Exactly, right? But you had to do it to find out.
Yeah.
So if someone, like, never does something, because
it's part of the process.
It's part of the process, right? So you have to go through the process before you can start dwindling down the doors. Yeah. So I think, like, you start with the wide net. If you have literally nothing to work off of, you have a really wide net. And I'd agree with you that you start narrowing it, because I think you're at a point where you can narrow. But to get to that point, you have to stay wide and be like, all right, I'm going to just try all the doors.
So I think what we can both agree on, like, find common ground at, is
No, I don't want to.
those
Sorry, no, I'm kidding. Sorry, it's getting heated in the shower.
It actually is.
Literally.
Yeah.
But I think what we can agree on is the idea that you need to open doors in order to know like what you like, what you don't like. But my thing is that don't just keep opening doors and being like, not that specific field, not that specific field. Be smart about it. Like generalize. What was it about that door that you didn't like?
Yes.
For example, the like lack of human interaction. So then you know, and you can apply that. Go like, why would I try this door right next to it if I know I don't like the lack of human interaction part of it? You know what I mean? And that way, like, basically what you're getting from opening a small door is trying to find a generalization and then realizing that that's one part of your values. Once you got your values, then you can limit.
I agree. Boom,
Common ground.
We're back to common ground. Now just to reel it back in to the beginning a little bit.
I like that you physically showed that we are really.
Yeah, if you're not
Thank
watching.
Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, no,
Wow,
oh
wisdom.
my goodness.
There
That's
we
why we
go.
got it on the podcast.
Yeah.
If you're listening, you'll have to go to the video and watch my reeling in just to get the
That's
the
it.
full
Just
joke.
that's the only
Go
reason
to that
you
clip
should
at
go to the video.
least. Whatever
Yeah.
time it's at. The
Don't
timestamp.
watch it otherwise.
Yeah,
Just
don't watch
kidding,
it
just-
otherwise. Just to go back to Ema, because like our initial topic was, you know, coming into a new environment and like immigrating or just whatever, going into a new environment. Like, so how do you think like what we just talked about, like finding what you want to do, like
That's part of your identity.
right? But it's another layer
yeah.
on top of all that. Like now you also have to like identify your identity, but also like sometimes I feel like we as people who aren't from here, we have to defend our identity, or like we have to be a good representation of
For
it or
sure.
something. You know what I mean? So like, what was your experience of like? So like you got to high school, and then you like had the first 2 years of kind of just being on your own, and then what like you transitioned. So what other experience did you have like that kind of
Made me who I am.
made
today.
you who you are today? Yes.
Honestly, I think I'm just the kind of person who is like very. I can adapt to a lot of different environments, and I have been since, I was a kid. My family, I wouldn't say we moved a lot, but we had I think we moved 3 times when I was a kid, just within the country, but different houses. And I went to 2 different elementary schools, and went to middle school and then 2 high schools. So I have had a good amount of change happening around me consistently. And
I love change.
Yeah, and it almost kind of forced me to adapt really quick. And I don't want to be a loner at school. I obviously had to make friends, and I know that I am capable of doing it. It's just sometimes I do have to step out of my comfort zone to talk to people, mingle with people. And obviously there are people, like you said, that are very welcoming, and those people are a huge reason why I have the friends I have.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate them and them being who they are, and I'm sure they can continue doing that to a lot of they can impact a lot of people throughout their lives, and they're going they're gonna do great. And I do strive to be them, but at the same time it's sometimes it's just it's a natural you if you're not born with it, you're not born with it. If you are, then you are. Extroverts, for example, some people,
Sorry,
no matter.
I'm gonna mute my phone because these group
Because it's
chats.
too popular.
I know, God.
Yeah.
I wish my phone was blowing up like that.
I knew you'd make that joke.
It must be nice.
But yeah, and I just feel for me, I just learned to be very open and accepting to new people in my life. And, as I don't want it to sound bad, but it's there's no harm in making new connections and realizing those connections are not for you.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
It's the same
there's
concept as the doors we were just
yeah,
talking
exactly. But it's it's almost it doesn't benefit you in any way if you don't make those connections. But making those connections could potentially benefit you. You just don't know until you try.
Exactly.
Right?
And again,
So-
it could show you you make those connections and you're what did I not like about that connection in the future? If
Yeah.
you see someone that presents any of those things that you just generalize to, you're okay, no need to go down that road and invest time and emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah, that goes with so many, with friends, with relationships,
Partners,
with
yeah.
employers, with people that you work with, all of it applies to all of that.
Yeah, we work together, and if I
Yeah.
never said, hey, Sav, let's go talk about something after work, then we would have never been friends.
Exactly.
And like same with you. Like if I just decided that, you know what, peace out after you're done with the swim team, like I would have never been friends with you guys or as close friends as we are.
Mm-hmm.
We ate pizza together. I'd say we're pretty close.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
And we're connected now.
The food of love, really.
Food of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very romantic food.
Yes.
Just kidding. But
Wait, what? You're
What?
kidding.
It is a romantic food.
Ah!
How dare you?
Bash on pizza.
Yeah, so I just feel like it obviously depends on who you are, and some people take a longer time to adapt. Some people find it a little easier to adapt, and also the people you surround yourself with. If people aren't supportive or of like who you are, and they don't appreciate you for who you are, then cut them out. Just kidding.
But not.
But not.
But
kidding.
not. No, you're not kidding. But like, just learn to be picky in your own way, but don't put someone else down. It's like I heard this quote somewhere. I don't know if I'm quoting it right, but it's like, don't like dim someone else's spark because it wouldn't make your fire burn any brighter. Right?
OSD.
So it's like,
Analogies for days.
No.
Analogies.
oh, I just got that.
Yeah, sorry. Analogies.
Analogies. So it's like you don't have to put someone else down. You don't have to be like, oh well, you suck, that's why I'm not gonna be friends with you.
Yeah.
You can just say it in a nice way, just like, or don't even say it, just kind of like
No,
back up.
I'm pro communication.
Okay, well, yeah, you can communicate that if you want, but sometimes, when a connection is not too deep or whatever, and you don't feel like it's right, you don't have to force yourself to continue.
Oh, for sure.
Like, or pretending or being, because then it's like, it's so tiring and it's a lot of like baggage on you to make that person happy.
It's got to be symbiotic. Like a relationship
For
is a
sure.
two-way street. Both people got to be like, I'm talking like friendship, like romantic relationship. Any human relationship is a two-way street. Both people got to be benefiting from it. And if both people aren't benefiting from it at some point, doesn't mean they weren't at any point. It's like relationships. Like you both really like each other. One person kind of like whatever, no longer feels the same way. Maybe the other person feels like they're still benefiting, but it's not fair for that person to invest into something they're not getting anything out of.
Yeah.
So for me, the way I see it is like you're basically like two lines side by side and you're connecting, like you're going down the same path, like you have the same interests or whatever. Sometimes one person might drift, like they have other interactions in their life. Thank you for helping me with this.
Of course.
Have other interactions in their lives that like change them, but the other person didn't change with them. So right now they're not in a place where they're like symbiotic and both benefiting from it. But maybe down the line, this person like changes as well down the same road, and then they're side by side again, and that way they can both benefit. You know what I mean? Just because a relationship doesn't work out in that moment doesn't mean it won't down the line. And like also just because something is great right now, you can't be like we're friends for life just because we're good friends right now. There's got to be a time where you're like, yeah, even though this person and I had like a really good friendship and they've been helpful, I just can't, and like I need a different kind of like really close friend at this point who's at the same point of like same mindset as me right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did that make any sense? Because
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so. I
Yeah.
think it basically, what you just said was like kind
logic. Shut up, Sheree.
Duh.
But yeah, so it's like people change, and you don't have to be changing with the same people, and you don't have to change at the same pace, and you might change to be very, very different.
Facts.
But at the same
And no one is better than the other. It's different.
at the same time, it's like you don't have to be the same person to get along, right? Like we're all very different people, and we came from different backgrounds. We had different friends prior to meeting each other, and now we have mutual friends. We have things that connect us and things that are completely different, but we're still friends. We get along. It's a healthy relationship, I hope. And
Yeah, I mean the Timbits weren't that healthy, but
Yeah.
right.
And she knew it. Like, she
Low-key
watched
trying
us
to-
eat it, and she was like, yeah, I'm not having any of those. They're not good.
I'm
She's
gonna
like-
look better
she's
than
like-
them in the shower.
She's like, my summer body is relative.
Oh, boy.
To your summer body.
My summer body.
So you get thicker means I am fitter.
Oh shit.
But yes, no.
Well done.
You're
Well
right.
played.
Yeah, but I agree with like healthy relationships. They change. Sometimes they are healthy, and then sometimes you grow in a very different direction, and you don't have the same values anymore. But like, that's okay. That's okay. And I think what Ema was saying, like,
And that can tie into like when you go back home and visit, like you and I's examples. When you go back and you've like integrated into this community and like taking on like some different values but have your core values, you should be able to like connect with your friends back home the same way based on those core values, but also be integrated here and connect with people here. It's like
Yeah.
like you said, you change in some aspects. We all have different backgrounds, but we still connect. But like, don't be just one or the other. Be this like person that has all these different
All-rounded.
perspectives, all around it, and like you connect with this person. Don't stay in your bubble.
Yeah.
Like, don't just completely go in as a sponge and then forget your last, like
Yeah.
the people you grow up with. But also, don't be afraid to cut them off if like you've developed values that are really important to you, and they just add stress to your life. And like, hey, why are you like this? Why are you like this? You change so much, or whatever. Sure, cut you off. Go back to
huh? No, I don't even know what I was gonna say.
passive aggression.
No, it's fine. I lost my train of thought. I like when you interrupt me.
I love
good.
it. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure
It's
you
sweet.
do love it. Yeah, it makes me feel great.
You can feel free to cut me.
No, never. I mean, I wouldn't do that to you. Like, I mean, you can. Like, it's fine.
Okay.
No, honestly, it's fine.
We're all friends.
I'm
We're
fine.
all friends.
It's all fine.
So fun. So good.
Right.
But yeah, and I think that everyone should have like that group of friends, no matter, be it one person, two people, three people, to have those people around you that would always stick by you no matter what happens is very, very crucial. And I feel like I'm very fortunate to have those people in my lives, like my friends back home. Like we don't talk every day. We barely talk.
We don't talk anymore.
We don't talk anymore.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm so. Thank you.
There we go. There we go. We're
Nice.
connected.
Good job, guys.
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
Her and I are drifting away from you, so you can leave. Right
We're
now.
the
that's
line.
fine. Yeah,
The
you guys are
line.
parallel. I'm just perpendicular
Almost.
over here.
Yeah, you're basically perpendicular.
That sucks to hear, guys.
But yeah, like I don't really talk to my friends every single day.
Yeah.
In middle school, we used to because we were classmates. We swam together. We did everything together. Our parents were friends.
Shower together.
No, I'm just kidding. But like, I don't have to talk to them every single day. Sometimes I honestly haven't even talked to some of them in like 6 months or a year. But like when we hung out together, it's like we never left and like we never changed, and we just like kind of picked off where we left off and like picked up where we left off and just kind of like continue the conversation. And like it was just like, oh yeah, it wasn't like, oh, so how's it going,
Yeah.
how, but it's just like, oh my god, remember this person, oh my god, like look at their story, blah blah blah. And then we're just like,
Whole lot of oh my god.
and
Yeah,
oh my god.
Oh my.
And it's like you don't really think
Stop.
you don't really think about it in the moment, but then like after your interaction, you go home, whatever, and you sit down, you're like, wow, I'm so lucky to have like people like that in my life. And like I know that they will be there forever. Like our kids are probably going to be friends, and
Yeah.
like it's just so nice. And like I know not everyone has that, but it's never too late to like, you don't have to go out searching for people. Like what we literally talk, like we had this conversation before this podcast started, like, but we were talking about relationships. It's like you shouldn't be going out there looking for someone,
Be open.
but be open, and like, you might just find someone that suits you. And like sometimes you just gotta not look for anything.
When you
for
look, I
things to
find like
happen.
people settle when they look.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, because then they have expectations, and then they have something they're looking for.
It's
like,
like,
find
oh,
someone
brown
that, like-
hair, 6'1", gotta be super fit.
Yeah.
And just
But
like,
they didn't
it's
think
never
about the
gonna
other
happen.
stuff.
Yes, the stuff
Yeah.
that like will last.
And they're like, oh, I'll change it about them. But it's like, if you were open, you'd be like, oh, this person really makes me feel good or whatever.
Mhm.
Right.
And then it's like, because a person is not a checklist.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're like they're a combination of different things. And if that combination, like, fires you up because you were open and just let that person in your life, you're like, sweet. But if you go out
Yeah.
with a checklist, you'll realize that there are things you forgot to write down on that checklist that actually matter a lot.
Yeah, you gotta find someone who compliments you and kind of like fills this, like, you know, compliments you in the sense that like you, maybe they have characteristics that are awesome and amazing that you don't have, but then you also have to be able to compliment them and not just like kind of like,
Just take.
yeah, and like you, it's a give and take
like we
relationship
said,
in every
two-way
single
street.
relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And like if it isn't,
Yeah, cup it. Oh, cup it.
and
Filling each other's cups.
Yes.
and if it isn't, it doesn't mean that
Love that analogy. Analogy.
analogy.
Analogy.
It, you know, if someone is just taking or just giving, doesn't mean that the two people can't work it out. It just means that it's going to take a longer time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the path is going to be a little bit more twisted, and sometimes it's just not a healthy relationship. And some people live in that relationship for a long time.
Holy shit, bro. Relax.
Come on.
Sorry.
So Canadian of you.
Yeah, this keeps.
It
We just, you know,
The battery
Life
died.
happens, changes.
change it. It
You gotta
Well,
adapt.
be
It
like
be like
that
that
sometimes.
sometimes.
But yeah, the camera was not parallel with us. It wanted to leave.
Yeah,
and
it
we're like,
wanted to
"No, no,
die.
no, no,
I don't
no."
blame it.
No.
Yeah.
It's hot. It wants to get out of here.
Yeah, no, we.
It was actually
understandable.
like changing the battery. My hand was burning.
Yeah, that's a 3rd degree burn actually.
I can't see. The light's like
It's
in my
that
eyes.
bad.
I'm blind.
We like talked about a lot of different stuff, and like just a wide range of things.
You want
that,
to finish your thought though before we wrap up?
I forgot.
It'd be like that
That's what I
sometimes.
thought,
What did
yeah.
What did I say before this?
So many things.
So much.
Where did I
so
say?
much. So much knowledge.
Friends,
Mhm.
good friends, friends forever.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that you said that I kind of sparked like a thought in me was,
Oh,
um,
this is gonna be good.
oh yeah, but it's something that I've thought about a lot. Is
Right.
about like how to find and create meaningful relationships with people, like friendships or whatever, like everything. Because I would say like I have a meaningful relationship with both of you,
Thanks, man.
like through separate ways. But like a part of it, yeah, you guys are great. A part of it is luck too. Like
Oh, yeah.
it was lucky for me and you maybe to like be in kin together, but also like the air bands thing. Like that's when we kind of became
Yeah.
real close. Like
You saw Fratty Sharif.
yeah.
Frat boy Sharif. was
Yes, I
out.
did. You were just sending it back in the day, but
Say, honey.
right? Like we had like that was like our kind of parallel moment where we became parallel, and then like we just started happened to lifeguard together and just happened to like hang out with similar people, and like now I would say I have like very meaningful relationships with both of you, even though I had those same opportunities with other people. Like I lifeguard with a lot of people. I'm friends with a lot of people, and other people on air bands, and like other people were kin reps or in kin. But I've become close with you people for some reason. For a reason, right? So like I always question like what
And
makes
even though we're like different cultures, we came from different cities,
Yeah.
like all this stuff.
different programs, different like
Different
swimming,
ages.
different ages. Yeah, it's like swimming, like the workout people or like the fitness people / like a year younger. Like I'm like dance or PA or whatever. We all have like very different
Yeah.
friend groups separate from each other,
Oh,
but we
yeah.
also have like a similar one.
We find the similarities.
Yeah, but you're not like super close with every single person in that friend group.
No.
So like, what made us having a meaningful relationship, and like, can you, like, no way.
Okay. So, sorry again. This GoPro's actually on fire. That's
We're
what I
not moving.
think. Yeah, it's frozen on the phone, but
It's recording.
it is recording.
As long as it's recording. Yeah, the GoPro's gonna explode. I
So
think.
we're
I
gonna
think
we're just
so.
gonna
We gotta
speed it
wrap
up.
it
Let's
up.
just.
Finish your thought and then we'll wrap up.
Honestly, this thought is like a whole conversation. So we can. This is like a how to make meaningful relationships podcast episode. So that's
Wow. We have the title figured out, so I don't have to sit there
yeah.
in the shower and think about it because we already have the topic for the next.
Right.
What are we gonna title this one?
Honestly, I have no idea. It might be like a paragraph long, but
Just Emily Ma.
honestly,
Emily Ma's
we might just have to do that. Yeah, Emily. That's the new name of the podcast.
Thoughts
Shout
with
out-
Ema.
Yeah, thoughts with Ema. But yeah, no. This was. Do you have any final thoughts? Any final
Final
words?
thoughts?
Or like, what's one thing that you
Okay, last thoughts before the
Wrap
GoPro
it up.
dies.
last sentence? One sentence to wrap up.
Before it dies.
Yeah.
Be open to everything. You know, don't sit back and wait for things to happen. Make it happen, but also appreciate the little things and the people that come and goes in your life.
And in the new environments
Exactly.
you enter.
Boom. That's all it is, man. That's all we're trying to say.
That's
That's
it.
all.
That's it.
That's literally it. We
This-
could have just spoke. We literally could have made this podcast a minute.
Nah.
Yeah,
we needed to
that
dive
sentence.
in. No. We needed to dive in.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
You know
That's
what?
pretty much
This
it.
is Shower Thoughts. We're on YouTube. We're on the Apple Podcast app. We're on SoundCloud. Hopefully one day we'll be on Spotify. We're working on it. Sharif's working on it mostly.
He looks at me, he's like, hopefully, as in Sharif, get on
No.
that.
No. Take your time. Like
Make
I was
things
saying, I appreciate all the work you do. Yeah, so just as usual, comment, share, like DM us what you think. If you have thoughts about this, if you liked something that Ema said or something that Sharif said.
But not what he
But
said.
not what I said.
Yeah.
I literally don't contribute at all.
Because you get cut off.
Exactly. Yeah, I could. I would if I could. But
no.
But no. Right. Yeah.
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 Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for showering with us.
Thank you, Ema.
Thank you, Emo, for showering
We really
with us.
appreciate
being
it.
The first female to shower. This is a big
My
step
pleasure.
for both of us.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You took all the jokes at the beginning. I had to get them out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just needed
So
to.
I
any
was waiting for
female guests that are interested, Saf got it out of his
I'm
system,
done.
so we're
I'm
good.
done. I swear.
Yeah. So
There's a first for everything.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
now he's
yeah.
Now
We're
I'm
open.
fine.
He's used to
yeah.
it.
Now I'm
He's
open
used-
to the
he's
the
open.
there
Be
you
open.
new
go.
environment.
There you go.
But please don't shower for another week.
yeah.
We'll
Because we won't.
Yeah. We'll shower together. So we'll see you next time we shower.
Beautiful.
Take care, guys. Chee-hoo.
Go on, Dawn!
What?